Doom, 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 doom! We're talking about Doom again!
Oh, shit.
Hello, Zane!
Hey, Troy. This is... You've been yelling that for like 3 days straight, haven't you?
Non-stop. I got thrown out of work.
Oh, God. Okay, welcome everyone to the reaction half of Action Reaction with me, Zane Simon, and my co-host, Troy O'Diamonds. Now Doom O'Diamonds.
Troy O'Doomans!
Shit. Oh, God, this is terrible.
No, this is good radio. Keep this. Don't cut this. We're good.
So, we obviously are back from last week's episode, or from this week's previous episode, having watched Midnight Run and Doom. And so,
You got some thoughts about Doom, Zane?
I have a problem. A really bad problem.
I agree.
Okay, I have another problem. Another really bad problem.
All right, let's hear it.
I didn't hate Doom.
Yes! Oh, that's so good. I am glad that you're on board with this. What got it across the line for you?
So, first of all, I have to admit a certain love for shit awful sci-fi, TV sci-fi CGI graphics.
Okay.
From a movie that's made in 2005, it looks like it's made in 1993, and that endears me to it just a little bit.
Yeah, it has a bit of that like Jumanji, if Jumanji wasn't trying to be badness.
Yeah, I mean, there's a movie called Split Second from the late 80s or early 90s with Rutger Hauer and Kim Cattrall.
Okay.
It's this like sort of weird Waterworld Blade Runner spin-off.
All right. I'm into it.
And it came out at least 15 years before Doom, and it's the exact same feel as Doom. And it has a certain amount of endearment to me. The biggest thing I admit that I'm really enjoyed about the movie is that it spent zero time getting fucking dumb as hell. Like, there's no bridge for Doom from the start of the movie to the action of the movie. They don't spend any time giving you any backstory. They don't spend any time trying to like set you up with this deep story. They're like, okay, here's this group of fuckos. We're sending them to Mars to fight monsters.
Yeah, like the closest thing to backstory that they try and build in is when The Rock says to Carl Urban, like, are you sure you want to go? He has like some history with it. And then like they resolve that within 10 minutes. It's like, yeah. Oh yeah, no, his sister's up there. Okay.
It's seriously like
that is the closest it gets.
It has no it has no comic relief characters. Although it tried one with the wheelchair dude.
Yeah. Like him and kind of like the skeevy drug guy a little bit. But even then, like,
but neither of them get nearly enough screen time to make them comic relief characters.
Right.
And has no real love interest unless you count the one of the black dudes being like, I'll fuck you, white girl, and her being kind of like, maybe. And then they tried to make that like an emotional resonance when he's getting sucked down the air chute and she's all looking at him like, oh no. You're like, wait, really? We're really supposed to be resonating with the like, here's my I've got a big dick that needs sucking and you're here.
Yeah, it's like all of a sudden we are meant to really buy in that like she is deeply upset that this guy has been aggressively and inappropriately hitting on her while she's trying to do her science job. Like, we're supposed to. No,
That,
it doesn't matter.
that's the movie's romance plot.
Right.
And I mean, at that point, I'm gonna kind of enjoy it. I like sci-fi. I like monsters getting shot. I like bad attempts at like special effects. I enjoyed it. What?
Okay. So I guess what we're picking up is that Doom is like the basest level of your instincts, where
It,
there is nothing sophisticated, there's nothing smart, there's nothing that this thing's trying to do. It's not like when we talked about White House Down, where I summarize that as like a 30 rack of domestic beer with a stars and stripes funnel to chug it through. This isn't even that. There is nothing but unadulterated id. And
this is like a squeeze. This is like a Gatorade squeeze bottle full of Everclear. You know?
yeah, I was gonna say it's like the riot juice from Always Sunny.
Exactly. Like it is the worst trash that will get you so drunk that you will never like. You can't be upset about that. Like
Right.
you knew
It's
what
the
you're going into it.
Yeah, you know from the very get-go when you decide to turn on Doom that by the time the movie's over, you are not wearing your shirt anymore. It's just gone.
Exactly. And I realized too, watching it, I came to this realization that The Rock is William Shatner's id.
Yeah, yes, at this point he definitely is.
Like the way he acts and the way he chews scenery and the way that he does his lines and all that, he is what William Shatner thought he was on screen. Like this big bronze man hunk that is barely, that is just like absolutely grating his way through scenes with, Semper Fi.
Yes. Oh, faithful to the core, John.
And especially having Carl Urban in it creates this weird tie through to Star Trek, where Carl Urban is Bones on Star
Oh
Trek.
yeah. Okay, I can see where you saw that sci-fi through line. Okay.
It is. It's just it has a charm about it that I'm not gonna hate as much as I wanted to. Like the CGI is terrible. It was obvious that somebody had a really good, awesome idea for how to make a Doom movie and didn't get to make that movie. Like,
Right. This is not the script they turned in.
yeah. Somebody had like a really clear purpose. Like a friend of mine too said, it's funny me talking about this. He's like, that movie would be so much better if it involved less Carl Urban fighting The Rock in a blue room and more monsters and chainsaws and metal.
Yeah. I feel like if they went more Hellraiser than Aliens, then it would have been, it could have gotten across as a like actual meaningful, not meaningful, but
like a hit, an actual hit.
yeah. And like this is something that I won't even pretend to call high art in any sense. This is the lowest of low art, and my God, is it enjoyable for it?
It really is. Like I just laughed all the way through it. You know?
Did you have a favorite one-liner or funniest one-liner?
I
Might be the
mean,
same thing.
it's really hard to pass up the you don't shield a child from time.
Oh God, that one is. Oh, for context, that's because there's a fossil lady like trying to shield her fossil baby from something that's apparently what killed all these people, and none of the scientists really put that together somehow. And also, it's like a perfectly preserved skeleton like that apparently got marauded by fucking aliens.
Everything about that scene is fantastic. That whole like alien baby pathos scene between Carl Urban and what's her name? I can't remember.
very fully fledged female character who's we've never mentioned her name in the first episode or this episode. I don't even know if they say it in the movie. They probably don't.
Probably don't. But like that is undoubtedly the best scene in the movie. And then, there's just and then the scene where like the wall is flashing on and off and they're trying to shoot dudes and the one dude gets sucked down through the thing, like I said, with like the whole, that's where they tried to sell the romance angle.
Yeah.
And The Rock gets dragged out and he's like, I wasn't supposed to die.
Oh, it's beautiful. I don't know why he says that line. He doesn't need to say that line, but it's so much better that he does. Oh, it is. It's an accidental masterpiece of low art.
It is an accidental masterpiece of low art. I will admit, like, I had no expectations watching this, and I enjoyed it a stupid amount.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear it. I'm glad that you got to share like the dumb primal glee that I still feel from like reminiscing back to seeing this at midnight in 2005.
The only thing I will say is that the first person scene is really just kind of a mess. Like,
oh, it's marketing for the game. They're just saying, we know you played the game.
Yeah,
here's some fan service.
It's so ham-fistedly done. Like,
okay, but let me tell you that when I was at the theater at, like 1:15 in the morning, high as fuck with my high school friends, we all cheered like the whole way through it. It was the best. And so like every time I watch it, I still just get like this, like we're in the back row of this, the only theater doing midnight showings. And oh man, I just wish everybody could see it that way first. That is the only way you can really understand the joy of this movie.
Somebody mentioned to me too when I was talking about this, because I had to talk about it while I was watching it. Like, there's a scene where you'll realize this movie just took itself way too seriously. I don't know what that scene was. Like, nothing in that movie was serious enough for me to ever, like, even The Rock shooting the kid in the throat, which maybe that's what they're talking about. But then he's like, I need soldiers, only soldiers. I'm like, I can't. This is the dumbest thing.
Yeah, I don't know what it could be either, because the only other two things that stand out to me are when Goat says "us" into his arm. That's not that serious. That's like it's ridiculous. And then maybe if you want to like read in deep and be like, oh, Goat, the holy man who died and then was risen and saw what hell he would bring upon other people in his new existence, decided to sacrifice himself for the No, that isn't the point of the scene. The point of the scene is, like I said in the main episode, he just kills himself fucking bird.
He does. There's literally nothing about that movie that sells itself seriously enough for me to ever think it took itself seriously. Like,
yeah,
like I said, I think somebody had a serious idea of how to make a really good, fun movie. And then they just ran into a producer who's like, nah, we're going to make some fucking bullshit. And he's like, really, dude? Okay, well, I'll try to make the best bullshit I can.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm glad that we got the bullshit. I'm glad we got this version, because I think it's probably better than whatever they started with.
It may be. It may be that just a running right barely off the rails, but not ever quite off the rails sci-fi actioner is better than whatever pseudo-philosophical or horror, poorly planned out horror movie they could have tried to make would have been.
Right. Yeah, we could have gotten a, like you said, like a sci-fi, I don't know if it was going to be like aliens mixed with, what's the movie about, it's killing me. It's like a horror movie in space. Lawrence Fishburne's in it.
Oh, yeah, Event Horizon.
Event Horizon. Like, I get the feeling that they were going for Aliens, Event Horizon, crossover, and that's the closest thing to like being an authentic Doom movie. No, try and make that movie work. Give us this lowest of low art and really just knock it out of the park.
Yeah,
I'm happy with it.
Honestly, Event Horizon is not actually a very good movie. Like,
it's not.
It's only mildly enjoyable because it tries too hard and it doesn't hit enough of the right notes for what it's trying to do. It's just
right. I guess I was like just gleaming onto like, oh, it's kind of a portal to hell kind of thing. I don't know.
Yeah, whatever. So anyway, I actually enjoyed Doom. I don't know that I would watch it again, but I did not have a bad time watching it at least once.
Okay.
What about Midnight Run?
Midnight Run was fun. It was much less action-y than I thought it would be from your description, but it was like a good action comedy. I felt like it a little ahead of the action.
With what?
I felt like it put the comedy a little bit ahead of the action.
Yeah, it does a little because I mean you're working with comedy actors and with actors rather than action actors.
Yeah, and you know, I don't want to like shit on this movie. It was fun and I laughed and enjoyed it, but there was a lot of the like lazy action comedy action scenes where like anytime anybody punches anybody, it's like, oh, you're unconscious for however long I need you to be unconscious to get out of this scene.
Which I love. I love how lazy it is with that. I think that's great.
Yeah, well, at one point it made me feel like it was almost like Naked Gun without realizing that it was.
Oh, I think it's high class Naked Gun. Like that's the thing to love about it.
Maybe, yeah. Like every time it happened, I was like, okay, I get it. Everybody
it's all about running jokes, whether the running joke is like getting what's his name? Was it
the Duke?
No, Marv. Getting Marv to look away. And so you can punch him, you know, like, hey Marv, what's that over there?
Yeah.
And he hits him, or whether it's about Yaphet Kotto stealing Marv's cigarettes in every time that they ever meet each other.
Right. And it just gets funnier every time.
Yeah. Like it's a movie built on these little running jokes that keep stacking up after each other.
And you know what? That actually brings me to I don't want to jump straight to the end here, but I'm going to do that because every sentence constructed that way goes that way.
Mm-hmm.
There was one thing in this movie that seemed so right, so obvious, so perfect that they just lost their handle on at the end. And it's when they're doing running jokes throughout the movie. I'm expecting callbacks. They've primed me to expect that. And then at the end, when the Duke hands over his belt full of money, it's just like a heartwarming, like, oh, I let you go. You gave me money. And all I wanted, or what I expected and thought would have been hilarious, is if the Duke says, after he gives him the money, says, just don't open a restaurant with it. It's a very bad investment. Like that, just pay off on that earlier scene. I would have laughed my ass off if they let that joke hang for an hour and then just did a callback on it. And I thought they were going to do it, and I was really disappointed they didn't.
Okay, fair enough. But I love the ending of that movie. Like, it's just, I don't know, for me, because like I said, it's kind of a movie that's all about failure. And the ending is sort of like this weird, it's the idea of like finally pulling some, like, you know, it's still failure to Robert De Niro's character, but he finally gets some like feeling of success out of it, and he's the only one really that does.
Yeah, and just like that point of him, that was what I wanted to do. That it does have a good feel-goody end to it. Like I'm happy for everybody who I should be happy for. Everybody who should have had bad things happen to them had bad things happen to them. It's a nice, clean wrap up, and I just wanted them to, like, for 1 second, undermine that with the callback joke.
Fair enough.
That's my script doctor moment for this. Otherwise, really fun movie.
Yes. I mean, there's nothing more fun about that movie than watching the mobsters in it fail. Because it's
Oh yeah, yeah. Which there were a couple scenes in this where it made me think of a movie that I'm going to do in a couple of weeks from now that is kind of like a cousin to this.
mm-hmm.
And I'll let you know when I pick it. But it reminded me a lot of a more modern action movie.
Well, so there's a funny story about that I'm going to tell you.
All right.
Because I meant to tell you in the episode and didn't. But it's a good opportunity now. Actual cousin to that movie is a Paul Thomas Anderson movie, his first feature, called
All right.
Hard 8 from the 90s. And you know how Jimmy Serrano, the head gangster, he has that scene where he's talking to his assistant Sydney, who's advising him not to go after this dude and to just let the whole thing drop.
Yeah.
So there's a movie. So in this Paul Thomas Anderson movie, Hard 8, about this character named Sydney, played by the same actor who played Sydney in this movie, who used to have mob ties and is now a gambler in Las Vegas, and takes another gambler under his wing, played by what's his name from Step Brothers, the one that's
John C. Reilly.
played by John C. Reilly.
All right.
It's an actual direct cousin to,
Good for Paul Thomas Anderson.
to Midnight Run. Yeah.
That's. I love that. That's what he decided to do with his career. Is just be like, yeah, I like that thing from.
I'm gonna riff on Midnight Run for a whole separate movie.
Yeah, and was it? That's less than a decade later. That's a really short time for a tribute.
Yeah, but Midnight Run is fantastic. I mean, it's really, I don't know, it's such an unexpectedly fantastic movie because it's a movie that I think not many people know about, and it's so imbued with that spirit of the buddy action dynamic.
Yeah, and for me, I think maybe the funniest single shot of the movie was when Robert De Niro first is trying to apprehend him, and they open the door to the bathroom, and he's sitting in the shower with the gun. That was low key fucking hilarious.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's not like Robert De Niro is really he's supposed to be really good at his job and he's good at finding people, but there's nothing about him or his life and how he does things that seems successful at all.
Yeah, there's a part of me that I didn't make this connection until now, but he's kind of like Ryan Gosling in The Nice Guys.
Mm-hmm. Very, very similar.
Yeah, you see, okay, he's really good at one part of this thing, and his life is just in fucking shambles, and he's generally incompetent.
Who is like, does anybody love you? Lots of people love me. Really?
Yeah,
Who?
My ex-wife, my daughter, I haven't spoken to in 9 years.
Also, I love Yaphet Kotto like that. All you guys named Mosley?
Oh man, there's so many good beats in this.
It is.
There was actually some that I was thinking during the but if I were your accountant scene, where if we were gonna recast this movie today or maybe more 10 years ago, that is Richard Kind. Richard Kind would nail that role, and there's a part of me that kind of wonders if I don't know, Charles Grodin got wild at 22. Richard Kind ended up being his kid. I don't know. Might have happened.
Oh, yeah. He would nail that role. Absolutely. It is I don't know. For me, it's the quintessential. It's weird because it's the most you take movies like I said, it's written by the guy who wrote Bad Boys. It's directed by the guy who directed Beverly Hills Cop. It's
right.
so firmly sunk into that sort of die-hard Lethal Weapon era of filmmaking. And I enjoy it more than almost any of the rest of those movies, even though it's just kind of like out on the fringe of all that.
Yeah, and I remember while I was watching this, I don't remember what moment it was because I deleted it as soon as my brain caught the connection. I wrote down something like, "Oh yeah, that's a real like Beverly Hills Cop kind of thing going on here." Oh yeah, no shit, it's the same, it's the same guy.
Yeah, it makes you realize how much of like Eddie Murphy in Beverly Hills Cop and like how much of that movie is down to like the director make and what he could bring to that project.
Yeah, it really is.
Uh, Super fun. I'm glad you enjoyed it because it is absolutely one of my favorite action comedies out there.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun with this one. It's definitely a movie that I'm gonna end up watching again at some point, and it's easily in like that tier of movies where if it's ever family hanging out on a holiday and you see it on TBS, it's like, yeah, we're watching that. Everyone will have fun.
Yeah. No, it's an absolutely a movie that whenever I hang out with friends who haven't seen it, I'm like, okay, we got to hang out and watch this movie because you're gonna enjoy it a lot, and you
Yeah,
see this. It's part of the action comedy, fun, good time movie canon.
yeah, 100%. Which again, fuck the canon. We are the best movie out there. Eat shit. I'm
Oh Lord,
I'm
that
keeping
is
this beef
not
alive.
that is not the best ad ever cut for our show. Oh,
Well, okay. Well, we can talk about revisions off mic.
okay. Well, on that note, I think we need to, our reaction session is done. I had a better time than I ever thought I would with Doom, and hopefully you had. And it sounds like you had the time expected of you with Midnight Run. At least for me, I knew you'd have a good time.
Yeah, no, I think we both got what we were hoping for out of each other's movies.
Well, we're going to be back in just a few days to talk about our next theme, which
Our next theme is the effect and drugs. It's about drugs.
Okay, well, I'm going to have to search for this one. On that note,
Just do Beverly Hills Cop.
you've seen Beverly Hills Cop, damn it.
Oh, okay, fine. Get something else with drugs in it.
Yeah, all right. I'll figure something out. On that note, thanks everyone for tuning in. You can find me on Twitter at These Anytime. You can find Troy on Twitter at PDLMMA. You can find, we will probably respond to you if you talk to us. So talk to us because we won't see you any other way. Tune in to the show next time in a few days when we'll be back to talk about drugs
Again.